Good evening again, Darren. This is a moment of high anticipation, isn't it?
Yeah, there really is indeed, and MPs in the last minute or so have begun voting on those 7 amendments. Quite an extraordinary day again, Isabel, here at Westminster. We had Theresa May stand up and, after months of defending her deal, saying it was the best deal, the only deal on the table, she accepted essentially that she would have to give in to her Brexiteers and back an amendment calling on her to go back to Brussels and try and formally reopen the withdrawal agreement to get some movement on this vexed issue of the Irish backstop. And significantly in the last couple of minutes or so, we've heard from the main Brexiteers within our party, the ERG group of this, as they're called, saying that they will collectively support the amendment on the basis that the Prime Minister promises, especially as regards reopening with the withdrawal agreement, and that the backstop is only the worst problem. So they are likely to vote for it. Why is that significant? Well, it means that the likelihood that that amendment will go through tonight has just increased. There is a second amendment that we're looking at out of the 7 that's quite significant, and that comes from the Labour opposition, from an MP called Yvette Cooper. She is proposing that essentially Parliament, to a degree, wrests back control of this process from the government, and that if there is no deal by the end of the next month, well, then essentially there will be a process put in place to stop a no-deal Brexit. Let's turn now to this issue of the Irish border, of the backstop, the one that has held up this Brexit process over the last year or so. I'm bringing Colm Eastwood. He is a politician from Northern Ireland, represents mainly nationalist voters there. Colm, just explain to us, first of all, to people who don't understand it, why do you think it is necessary that there is this backstop on the island of Ireland to try and avoid a hard border?
Well, if the UK leaves the European Union, and if it leaves the customs union and single market, that means there has to be a border across Ireland. We spent a long time getting rid of the border, building up the peace process, building up that political progress, and we can't go backwards. So what the backstop does is it allows us to stay within that trading relationship if and when Britain decides to move away from it. So it has to be protected. Theresa May signed up to it December 2017. She's been out selling it, and now today she says she wants to open it up again. Now, we don't expect very much from any British government, but that's a real betrayal of the people of Northern Ireland, who want to stay in the European Union and definitely want to stay in the customs union and single market.
But you have to understand that, you know, also you're not in favour of no deal. It is clear that unless the backstop is changed or removed, it's not going to get through Parliament on the current arithmetic. So you have to have some sympathy that she wants to get a deal and she needs to do something about the backstop.
But she can't sacrifice the people of Northern Ireland or the Good Friday Agreement to get it. And I don't think the European Union will allow her to, because sometimes when you look at what's going on here in London, you could be forgiven to think that they're the only people involved in this negotiation. Well, there are 27 other countries who are standing 4 square behind the people of Ireland and the peace process, and I don't think they're going to budge. It's only last week we had a bomb in my own city of Derry by people who want to manipulate this chaos. We can't allow that to happen. We can't go backwards. We have to protect our peace process. That means protecting the backstop.
And just finally, what if Europe moved? What if Europe did give ground on this backstop because they want to avoid a no-deal Brexit? What would that mean to Ireland and people's perceptions of the EU there?
Well, it would be very bad, because it would mean a hardening of the border. That could lead to very real difficulties in our peace process. We spent 20 years getting rid of all that border infrastructure, of uniting the communities across the border. We're not going backwards. We're not about to be dragged backwards. So I think that would create economic, political chaos in Ireland, and we just can't allow that to happen.
Colm Eastwood from the SDLP, thank you very much indeed for joining us. There you go, a view from one of the politicians, some politicians we don't often hear from Northern Ireland, on what they think and why they think the backstop is important. Interesting tonight there, an EU official saying that the irony of this debate in the House of Commons is that it makes crystal clear why they need the backstop in the first place. Essentially, Isabel, that politics here is so fluid, so broken, that backstop is the EU's ultimate insurance policy, and simply they are not likely to give any grounds despite what happens tonight at Westminster.